Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis, and today I'm very grateful to bring you a women's roundtable. I've done one of these prior with some younger women around my age. It's good to have a couple of older powerhouse women on here today. I've gathered three of the best. We got Corrie Bignell, Beth Blackmore, and Ximy Gonzalez. All three have been on my show previously. Links to those conversations will be in the bottom. Without any further ado, women, welcome to my show today. Introduce who you are. We'll start with Corrie and then we'll go around and then we'll delve into some awesome women's health topics today. Been looking forward to it for a while. We've tried to make it happen a few times, but we're doing it today. Corrie, start with you. Welcome and introduce yourself, please.
Awesome. I am Corrie Bignell. I am the unregistered nurse. I just graduated from Jason Christoph's self-sabotage coaching school, and I am now a coach, and I just launched my website, and I'm super excited to be here with these lovely ladies to talk about women's health. And it's a topic that I think a lot of women need to hear right now.
Beth.
Yeah, hi everyone. So great to be here and connect with you all. So I'm Beth Blackmore. I am also a self-sabotage coach, and I graduated a year ago, got my certificate a year ago, and I've launched my website, my business, bethblackmore.com. And for me, this really started on my health journey, 5 years ago. And I've really come into my own discovering who Beth Blackmore really is. And, really about really understanding the programming that is behind our minds that have really self-sabotaged ourselves and, with all these self-limiting beliefs. And so I'm just super blessed and super grateful that I have the eyes to see and be able to help and empower others to become, who they're meant to be and the best versions of themselves. So great to be here. I'm super excited about this conversation.
Ximy?
Yeah, so my name is Ximy Gonzalez, and I've been coaching for the last 24 years. And I'm the founder of the Bombshell Formula and the author and producer of 7 Body Basics. And my focus is around helping women transition from engaging in vanity and practices that work against their body in the pursuit of beauty to pursuing beauty from the energy of self-care and self-respect. And so that's what Bombshell Formula is about, and what the I Wear Me movement is. It's about creating a safe home inside yourself. And in order to do that, you have to definitely question all of the garbage that we've been programmed with. So I'm right on the same page as everybody here. I think the biggest gift that any of us can give anyone is the invitation to unlearn all the 100%. Programs.
100%. Perfect segue into our first probably topic of discussion. So I'll open the floor. Corrie, we'll start with you. We can talk about, I guess, the labels women keep themselves on with. There's many of them. I guess we can talk about whatever comes up, but is there anything in particular? We can start with Corrie. We'll start with you, and you can sort of just, speak away here.
I think as I age, I'm 46 now, as I age, when I was 30, I thought that 46 was really old. And in my head, I just had this vision of, I'm going to have a, fat around my belly, and I'm just going to be old and not in good shape. And I think that's what society kind of programs us to think, is that, once you hit a certain age, 40 and above, you're going to be in menopause, and you're just you're going to gain weight. You're going to be moody. You're not going to be a nice person. And you could just, not take care of yourself, because what's the point? That's just what's going to happen to you. So now that I am 46, I'm in the best shape of my life, and I've competed, and I've kind of went up and down in weight. Now I can say at this age, like I'm killing it. I'm stronger than ever. I have totally detoxed from everything. And, that little inner tube that I thought I was going to have, like I have a 6-pack abs right now, and I'm not even dieting. I'm just living and eating a healthy lifestyle and exercising daily. And so I think for me, it's important to give women hope that they don't have to kind of bow down to the societal norms that we've all been kind of taught and programmed to, for as long as I've been living anyway. So that's what's important for me. And I'm hoping that through my social media that people kind of like, oh my God, if she can do it, well, then I can do it too, at 46. And there's a lot of women, your age, Nathan, now who, when I was working in the hospital, they're 30 years old and they look way worse than I did, so now even the younger women, they actually need this training because they don't look very good.
No, that's true.
It's great.
Beth?
Yeah, so I was just sharing before we started recording that it was about 5 years ago that, I was at my heaviest. And, I also thought this was kind of my lot in life, as a mother, as a wife, as, a full-time employee. I put everyone else first, oldest in the family. And, I felt like that was my role. And so I didn't put myself first for so many years. And then I started suffering with these physical symptoms that really came to light. And it wasn't about, my excess weight. I didn't even know how much I weighed at the time. But it was about these physical symptoms that were really throwing themselves at me. And it was like these red flags going up. And I was concerned about the high blood pressure. I was concerned about the stiff and sore joints and the skin and eye irritation. Just a myriad of things. And I kept, researching what are all these things? Like, am I suffering from something major? And, I realized that it was what I was consuming and what I was putting in my body. So I had to unlearn, the whole Canadian or standard American, standard Canadian, standard Western diet, that I had been programmed to believe that I thought was normal. It's normalized. We're all programmed to think this is the way we eat. This is our lifestyle. And so it really was this big awakening for me. That was really my first awakening, to be able to unlearn and reprogram my mind when it came to food and nutrition. The reason why I went on that health journey was because I just felt so shitty. And for years I felt shitty, and I normalized it, right? Oh, I had a headache, I'll take some Advil. Or, I'm having this issue, I'll go to the doctor for this. So, it's all about taking matters into our own hands and realizing how much control we have over our own bodies. And so I just feel so grateful that I'm able to see this now. And I'm a work in progress. I'm constantly learning. I'm super excited about this discussion because I want to learn more. And I'm excited about what lies ahead. Whereas before I was thinking, oh, aging, that's not a fun process. It's all downhill from here. And I just realize how much we can impact our lives and our lifestyles by taking matters into our own hands. But again, it starts with being open-minded and open to learning. So I feel like I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm excited about what lies ahead.
Ximy, you want to add anything? That was powerful.
Yeah.
Beth.
So actually my journey into health started at basically 8 months old, in the sense that like I entered this realm and right away experienced disease. So since I was 8 months old until I was 18 years old, experienced asthma, chronic sinus infections. I was on the verge of death several times at the hospital, and I was heavily medicated. And what I realized is that the highest form of freedom is health, because as a sick child, I realized that, like it took away my childhood. And so that gave me such a deep sense of respect for health and for my body. And when I was 18 years old, I decided to embark on a self-discovery journey. The first step I took was I went on a vegan diet. And while it taught me many things, it destroyed my health and my body. And then I had to rehabilitate myself. I was eating that way for about 8 years. And then it was a whole journey and like layers and upon layers of rabbit holes, and understanding, okay, so how was it that I was following, you know, all the things that we were told were like so good and so virtuous. And here I am at 25, dying again. And but it was the most beautiful thing, because as a coach, it just taught me such a deep level of humbleness. And it was one of the things that helped me to start understand what a painful relationship with food is, and how we attempt to regain control through going into extreme forms of eating and all kinds of things, because I felt, you know, out of control during my whole upbringing, and then coming to reconcile with that. And then it was interesting, because as I started to recover my health and I just started to have this life force expressed through me, I was very eager to get into my 40s, because there was something in me that told me that if I was able to get to my 40s with a really strong and healthy body, while at the same time developing myself emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, to couple that physical development, I would achieve a incredible level of power. That was that combination of a healthy, strong body with that wisdom and that inner authority. And it's like, yes, you can have all that beauty when you're young and it's magnificent and you can enjoy so many things, but that wisdom that comes with, you know, years. And if you can have those two things meet, and then, you know, you step into this beautiful rite of passage, a higher level of power, which is going into your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and beyond, feeling embodied, safe in your body, not fearing your body, not buying into all the propaganda that disconnects you from your body, from yourself. So yeah, so I'm connecting with all of them and what they're saying, in that these later years, you know, like are just incredible. Like the 40s are amazing. I've loved them. I'm 46 as well, and 47 this year, and eager to go into my 50s and 60s and whatever else life brings.
That's absolutely awesome. We just had Corrie jump off. She'll jump back in. Beth, is there a topic here that we can discuss now? Might be the box women keep themselves in with all these labels. Have you got anything to add? And then Ximy as well while we wait for Corrie. But is there anything you can add to in terms of here's Corrie now, in terms of the labeling that women keep themselves in? Because I know a lot of women around this age group, even my age group too, keep themselves stuck in this box or this cocoon that they don't seem to want to take control of their health because their menopause is playing up or whatever it is. If you want to just take the floor here, Beth and ladies, I'll mute my microphone again, and I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, I think unfortunately women, I think because we are so nurturing also, you know, by default, but there's also the programming that we are to take care of other people, and that is our main role, you know, and so that just by default, we take a back seat to our own health. And what is so tragic about that is, you know, now that I think as a mother, I have learned so much over the past couple of years that I wish I knew that I could have raised my boys differently in terms of modeling better behavior, modeling healthier behavior, and really being this role model, because it's not about what we preach, right? It is about walking the talk. So we can preach, you know, till we're blue in the face, but I think it's so powerful that we are modeling that behavior for our children and for people around us now. And so that's why I think, you know, all of us have this amazing platform online, that people can see how we are making a difference in our own lives. And so we are modeling this behavior. And so I think that's super powerful to be able to do that and have that platform to do so. And, you know, it is through our own experience, I think, that we are able to build these relationships with people, and people can understand, oh yeah, you know, she, you know, had a lifestyle like this, and she has gone through some pain, some struggle, and come out the other side, and is able to bring that to her own life and then share with others. I think that is such a powerful position that we are in once we go through, you know, those tumultuous times. And maybe that's just how it goes, right? I just, not that I regret anything in my life in terms of, you know, my parenting, but I just know I would have done things differently. And, but now, you know, I feel like I'm making amends for it.
That's awesome. Ximy?
Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have is, going along with what Beth was saying, with the nurturing feminine energy, is that I think that one of the things that we learn to do is to enable ourselves, because we connect with that, feminine energy of wanting to sugarcoat everything and protect everyone from their feelings, etc. So then we start becoming enablers to other people, and in taking care of them, teach them that they can stop taking care of them because now we're taking over, and it's extremely arrogant in our behalf. And then the other thing we do is that we project that same thing onto ourselves, and then we start enabling our own disempowerment by going, oh yeah, poor little old you, and also enabling the victim in us. And if we stay trapped in that enabler victim dynamic, it's very hard for us to like really see things and step outside
Oh, no.
of
Yep.
our painful patterns in our pain and our sabotage. Hello?
Yeah, we got you just cut off there just for like a minute, but we did get the rest of the message. So that's really, really, really awesome. Bit
We're in
worried there.
Central America.
Yeah. Corrie, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I know just speaking from a mom, I've been a mom since I was 16, and from a nurse's perspective, I mean, but like we are caregivers, we are like the best caregivers and the best women that forget about ourselves. I have always been one to take care of myself, and that is not usually the norm among nurses. They would label me maybe as like I'm selfish. And so my message now to nurses and to moms, it's like, it is not selfish to take care of yourself or to love yourself. It is 100% necessary for us to take care of ourselves first, and then we can take care of our children and our patients and everyone else that needs, our help. But that's a lot of people, will look at fit women. Well, they must spend all the time in the gym and they're not spending their time at home. Well, it's because I spent time in the gym, which was why I was a good mother and a really good nurse. If I didn't go to the gym, I would not be a good mom. And there was days where I'm like, I'm not a good mom because I didn't go to the gym today. And I modeled that behavior for my children from Gabe was, like a newborn when I would take him to the gym. And now both of my kids are, they are in impeccable shape, both of them. And I led by example. And now I think women, now that I'm on social media and getting out there, they're really inspired by women like us. You're like, okay, well, if she can do it, then I can do it too. And I don't think all three of us were not these fake, photoshopped women. And I try not to use filters because I don't want to be that fake person. They look at us and they're actually appreciative that we are so authentic. And that's why we get the people sending us messages saying you're inspirational. It's because we're real, and people want real right now because they're sick of the fake.
100%. Anyone wants to add anything? Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I'd like to say that so I worked on TV for on and off like 10 years, and I had segments where I was teaching exercise and holistic health, and there was a huge pressure to basically edit myself and have breast implants and I have liposuction in my cheeks, like they called it at that time. Now I know it's like a buccal fat removal or something. Anyway, and it was really interesting because I was very connected with my message, and my message was to inspire women to basically bring out the best in themselves naturally through self-care. And that was very like in opposition to my message. And I would get so many beautiful messages from my audience saying, thank you so much for being natural and for being authentic. And it's interesting because if I would have allowed myself to get pulled into the other side to seek approval, I would have lost myself, and I don't know if I was ever going to get that respect from my audience. And so it was beautiful. As I respected myself, I was teaching my audience to respect me and to respect themselves. So it was really beautiful. And by the way, this is not to put down women who have chosen to go down the path of, you know, engaging in these practices. What I'm saying is it wasn't aligned with my values. And today, working with a lot of women that have gone down that path, what I can say is that it was necessary, because a lot of these procedures allowed women to temporarily deal with some serious pain. And when they're ready to start exploring other possibilities and maybe considering how, if they're having health issues, these things may be related to it, well, then that's something to explore. But when I speak about self-respect, it's about you connecting with your values and then being able to maintain limits and boundaries around those values, because it's about you honoring and respecting yourself. It's not about getting the respect of the people outside of you or the approval of the people outside of you. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's interesting because a lot of women do, they do seek that external validation from men, from society. How does one go about starting that journey to seek that comfort from within? I'll start with Beth.
I think so for me, I mean, even with my own health journey, you know, I know that I had to come at it from a place of self-love and self-respect. And, you know, I have gone through some trauma in my life, and I know that I was stuffing feelings down with food. Food was my vice. And, you know, it was my body that woke me up to the fact that I was not respecting myself with what I was eating, with how I was treating it. So with these physical symptoms, I mean, my body woke me up to how I was treating myself. And I like, when I think back, I think, oh my gosh, for all those years, you know, not valuing, I felt like I didn't value myself enough to care and nurture for it, you know, for, I don't know, like maybe a decade or longer even. And so, you know, I know that my transformation occurred because of that self-love and that self-respect. And I feel badly for myself that I feel like I abused myself for so long before that. Like I just feel sorry for myself that I was in that state. And just grateful again that I was able to get out of it and realize what I was doing, and not ever want to go back to that place in my life where I didn't value and respect myself and my body.
Corrie, you back?
It's yeah, I'm back. Oh my God. I'm not at home. I'm in Managua, I'm like the capital city of Nicaragua. I don't know what the internet
I was
is
just asking
working.
the Ximy and Beth about how does one woman go about finding that validation from within? Because a lot of women out there, even my age, they seek it from a range of different sources, society, men. I know. It's like, how does one go about finding that validation from within was the question.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's really hard these days. You know, my daughter's your age, she's 29, and you know, they've got all these filters on the phone and everything is so fake, you know. And so how do you, I mean, they look a certain way, you know, when they look in the mirror, but then when they're posting stuff online, they look this way, and they, you know, it's hard for them to be real in their own bodies right now as a younger female. So they really have to dig deep, or have to have mothers that are like us. And so my daughter knows, she's like, okay, no, this is who I am. I love my body, and that's all there is to it. But I feel really badly for the younger generation, because they need a lot of help. And so that's where you, Nathan, you got to take the reins, and you got to help these ladies, because it's scary, actually. It is really scary what's happening.
Ximy, anything to add?
Yeah, so you know, it's really interesting that the topic of food comes up as well, because one of the things that I've realized is that it's not about food, it's not about exercise, it's not about body image, it's about the painful relationship that we have with ourselves. that we project onto food, onto body image, onto cosmetic procedures, etc. And so as I've understood it is as we're born, the first thing that we do to comfort ourselves is we go to our mother's nipple. You know, we're in this new realm, we're crying, we go to our mom's nipple, we suckle, we get food, we get comfort. And if we're not given the tools to self-discover and to self-soothe, what happens is that we keep seeking that nipple for self-soothing. And that nipple is represented in drugs, alcohol, food, gambling, sex, you name it. And so how do we come back into ourselves? I think that the first thing is the awareness that we were not taught how to self-discover. We were not inspired to self-discover. It was always about how can we become who the people around us want us to be. And that's the place where we learned how to abandon ourselves in order to find significance. And so as we decide to go back into a journey of self-exploration, it starts with getting to see, okay, how have I been giving my power away? Where did I learn to dissociate? Where did I learn to leave my body, to abandon myself? And how can I start coming back into myself to learn how to build an inner life and how to self-discover and how to validate my journey instead of seeking power outside. So when somebody gives us power outside, or the illusion of power, which is control by giving us credentials and money and, you know, whatever it is, that just like they gave it to us, they can take it from us. But when we go through a self-discovery journey and we start building our power within, that's something that nobody can ever give or take away from us. And that's what, in my opinion, power is. The other thing is control. It can be taken, it can be given to you, but empowerment, power, nothing. And once you start going inside yourself and you see how magical you are, how magical we all are, like we don't need anybody else to approve of us, you know, because we approve of ourselves. And the thing is, in the pursuit of other people's approval, then we end up not liking ourselves. So yeah, so this is all about an invitation to unlearning the world that told us that we needed to seek the consensus of the outside world and go inside and learn to trust our own perception, our intuition, our inner guidance, so that we can become self-reliant and stand in our own inner authority instead of seeking external authority figures. So I think that that's been the journey for me and what I'd like to share with my clients.
Powerful, Ximy. Very awesome message. It's actually so true, though. Is there anything that you three would like to share now in terms of a topic of discussion? Sort of just open the floor here. I've sort of ran out of questions, so sort of just go with it now. What do you got for us, Beth? Anything you want to add from Ximy's?
Actually,
yeah,
like what I find super interesting, and you know, with all of this you know, programming that we have been subjected to, especially as children, you know, those first 7 years they talk about is so powerful on us. And so when I talk about, you know, my parenting style, all I know is that I would have been so much more encouraging and positive and you know, empowering my boys. It wouldn't have been like, you know, it wouldn't have been, and not that it was negative. I just feel like during those 7 years, I think it's all about building people up, building up your child so that they have this amazing confidence about them. You know, I think that's where it starts. And obviously this is retrospective, but I just feel, I just now know how imperative those years are, the first 7 years of life. Because I'm reading this book called The Answer by John Assaraf. And I think in that he brings the receipts, right? We always hear about this negative and disempowering messages that we hear when we're kids, and we're like, well, our parents weren't that bad, were they? Like they weren't, you know, but what is that all about? So he's saying that during the first 7 years of life, or the first 17 years of life, you've heard, no, you can't, because they're trying to, our parents, society, you know, authority is trying to protect us. So they don't think they're doing anything wrong by it, but it's still disempowering messages. And so that is constantly programmed into a child's mind. And I think it, like I think he said 150,000 times we're told, no, you can't by the time you're 17 years old, and only like maybe 5,000 times, yes, you can. So it's so ingrained in us. And so it's not about you know, negative trauma and like, you know, things that are so traumatizing. It's just the words, no, you can't because society's trying to protect us, but that is ingrained in us and it sticks with us. So we think we can't become entrepreneurs. We can't become confident, you know, fully functioning adults. You know, we constantly have this barrier or obstacles in the way because we've been told, no, we can't so many times. So I just think it's really about reprogramming, you know, how society should be acting towards each other, but especially I think the younger generations that are coming up.
More yes you can instead of no you can't. I like that.
Yeah,
It's powerful. Tori?
yeah, I think so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, Beth, I have so many regrets when I look back at my parenting now. Like,
Yeah,
oh
me too.
man.
I know.
Not
I know.
only did I screw my life up, I've also screwed up my children's life, for God.
Yeah. Live and learn.
Yeah.
We're
But
a
she's
work in
doing good now.
progress.
She's doing good now, though. She's setting an example now, so that's
Exactly.
definitely a good thing.
Yes.
How about you,
Yes.
Himi?
Well, you know, it's interesting, and like I don't have biological children. Like I just have little Himi, which is my little girl that I needed to learn how to reparent. And you know, just like you guys are talking about the, you know, I guess I could have done it better in the way that I parented my biological children. I oftentimes go, well, there were ways that I could have parented my little girl better. But what I'd like to offer is that I think that there's just so much magic and so much beauty in also the quote unquote mistakes that we made, because that's actually what teaches us what isn't, so that eventually we can be motivated to recognize what is. And one of my mentors, his name is John McMullen, he says, regret is looking at yesterday's choices with today's values. And
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and so I think that for all the mommies that have the mommy guilt, if we can kind of hold on to that in our heart, for all the girls that have, you know, engaged in practices that work against their body, you know, we can hold on to that. And if it happened, I believe that it was because it was necessary and because it's part of our winning journey and it's part of our hero archetypal story. If you think of the hero first is very disempowered, and then it realizes it has a superpower, but then it doesn't know how to manage it, and it hurts other people, it hurts itself in learning how to use that power, and then eventually it learns how to activate the superpower and use it for its own good and for the good of everybody else. So I think we're all going through that journey, and the mistakes are just so absolutely necessary part of that process. So I'd just like to invite everybody, you know, like who's connecting with that mommy guilt and all that, to kind of like see it like, and what if, you know, like those are the doors to our empowerment, you know, like all of the things that we felt, you know, that were our mistakes, our quirks, are, you know, like eventually they became our super gifts.
Women are very
I
powerful.
agree.
Yeah. Like from
Yeah,
what
I
I've
agree. And
learned. Yeah, you go, Beth. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like I mean, all of this whole journey, right, has brought us to where we are. So, you know, the fact that you experienced death a couple of times, you know, the fact that I've gone through this major life transformation, I am very grateful in terms of, and I know that I wouldn't be here unless I had gone through those experiences and life lessons. I'm just grateful that I'm on the other side of it and that I'm constantly learning and open to to, you know, exploring and transforming further. But I totally agree. And I think that's where we can relate to with our clients, not even just clients, with people, you know, in terms of where we've been, what we can bring to the table, how, you know, how they can relate to us and our story. It's so powerful.
The common theme here is like you've all had that open mind to be like, Oh yeah, I'm open to having my belief systems change on obviously yourselves and obviously the world around you as well. But there's like just out there in society, there's a lot of women that are very closed off from, like, they're very strong and powerful in their belief systems that's currently keeping them where they are. It's like, how do you go about like opening up that mind to be like, well, there's another way or there's another path? Because a lot of women I find just through the last 4 years from transforming from wanting to do other things to them, but to be friends with them, it's like they're very closed off from ever seeing the other side or something new or fresh. It's like they're very closed off. How does one go about opening up that mind? You want to start us off, Himi?
Yeah. So that's such a fascinating question, because all these years of coaching, one of the things that's just really humbling as a coach is that things don't happen in your time. Things happen in the client's time and when they're ready. And you can say to somebody who's not ready, you can show them the facts, you can, do everything that you want. And it's just in one ear, out the other. It's maybe like you didn't even speak to them because they're not resonating at that frequency. They can't even perceive it, right? So it really has to do with the moment that the person is ready to look at self. And I think that one of the biggest challenges with looking at ourselves, so one of the things that I do with my clients is, as we're self-exploring, is we do journaling. And oftentimes people avoid the process of journaling because what journaling is about learning to become intimate with ourselves. And so if the way that we were parented was through the judge archetype, and so we were condemned and judged and punished, we're very afraid to go inside ourselves and self-discover and look at the parts of us that are a little bit scary, because what's going to happen is that mother, father, ego are going to kick in to beat our butt as we start exposing the secrets. So people don't like to do that. It's painful. So I think that one of the biggest reservations that people have with the self-discovery process is that if they can't come at it from the energy of the curious child instead of the judge, to become curious about, okay, I wonder why I did this. I wonder why I did that. And open the door for possibilities for that self-awareness, and you come at it from the judge archetype of condemnation. And that's how you parent yourself through your journaling and through your self-discovery. It's going to be very hard. So depending on the relationship that somebody has with their mom, father ego and their child ego, their ability to see themselves is going to be very hard, because they're going to meet themselves with a lot of judgment as they start to, for example, question like, oh, I've been deceived. And then they'll be, well, you're an idiot because you were deceived. That's how the, parent ego may talk to them inside their head. And so they're like, okay, no, everything was perfect. I did everything perfect. It was this, it was that. Like, no, I didn't fall for any spells. I didn't, I'm not going to question. So there's a lot that goes on, and it's got to be when the person is ready. That's been my experience. But I don't know if you ladies have had a different experience.
Yeah, they've got to want it. They've got to want it. And if they don't, you can bang them on the head with the rubber mallet and it's not going to get in there. I try and lead by example. And I have had one nurse that I worked with for many years. Actually, we really didn't like each other. She was a big, COVID kind of Nazi at work. And she got really sick after she took the shot, and she was overweight. She was probably, I don't know, 250 pounds. And she said, well, I have heart problems now. She said, I got it from COVID. And I said, I don't think you did. You probably got it from the vaccine. So then I got fired and I left the country. And then she reached out to me and she said, Corrie, what you said that day, I just thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And I think you were right. And what is actually going on? And so fast forward to like just last week, she has lost 110 pounds. She was diabetic. She's not diabetic anymore.
Wow.
And it was just because I inspired her by living how I am living. And she is fully awake now. And I just said a few things to her at work and I didn't even like her. And now she's a really good friend of mine. So
planting the seed.
planting the seed, and even if it seems like a little bit crazy, if they are, have a little bit of hope in them, they will just kind of stew on that, and then it'll just grow. And then you'll be getting the message, oh, hey, can you help me out with this? And at first I was a little bit angry, when nurses would come to me and be like, what is going on? Because I was angry that I lost my job and whatever. But now I'm just like, they didn't know. I didn't know at the time. They didn't know. And I just welcome everybody, and I'll help anyone now. They were just as programmed as I was, back in the day. So start small and then it grows. You're right.
That's it. Beth?
It's all about when you're ready at the right time, because I have this distinct memory. In 2016, we had a girls' weekend. It was a wine trip we went on. And I remember two of my girlfriends were very health conscious, brought their own food, to this house that we were renting. Brought their own granola, and all we were thinking was, let's make some burgers, have some junk, where are the chips? And it was actually agitating for me and for others that were, sabotaging ourselves and our health, listening to this conversation. They weren't even talking to us or preaching to us, but it felt like, obviously we weren't ready, right? We weren't. It was almost like we were defensive, because we were in our comfort zone and not wanting to kind of deal with what was going on, even though they are like the pictures of health, and we were overweight and into the junk. And I knew at that time that I was likely going to need a lifestyle overhaul, but that didn't come for 3 or 4 years after that. But I was not ready. And I was defensive about this conversation that they're having that has nothing to do with me, but I could feel, that it was uncomfortable for me because I wasn't ready. So I definitely believe that it is all on our own time. And planting those seeds is super important. And it just, I think it's, when you have this opportunity to be able to, show where you have come from and come out the other side. Again, it's just a really powerful position to be in. And I'm grateful that I'm here, and that I'm actually having this conversation with you. This is like unbelievable to me. Like how 5 years ago, working for the federal government, being, 60 pounds heavier, sabotaging myself, and now I just feel like this is a whole new life that I'm grateful for.
Well, and society too, I think, does a really good job of keeping everyone really distracted right now, so that, if we try and plant the seed now, that it's not even going to take, because they are so busy. I've talked to friends back in Canada, like they can't afford their mortgage anymore. They can't afford their rent anymore. And and now, we want to help them, but they are so distracted with, and I'm not saying, even awake people are having a hard time, because it is really, well, you're there, Beth. It's really
They're trying
hard.
to survive. They're trying to survive, right? They're in survival mode because because the government has them by, well, I'm not going to say it, but they, they have such a tight rein on them because of financial, their programs. So they feel like they can't even explore other options or different alternatives. It's so outside of their scope.
Yeah,
and I can understand it, but it's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it's like imagine, being trapped in that whole cycle of survival and fear. And then on top of that, having to come to terms with the just sheer amount of lies that we've been told. It's not easy. Like, I'm so grateful that my process was really gradual, over the last, I don't even know how many years, like over 20 years. I can't imagine what it must be like for somebody who's just coming to all of these realizations in one go. And then on top of that their job depends on that. And then on top of that, maybe they have children and they have, it's a lot. So I have a lot of respect respect, you know, for all the people that are, you know, like really waking themselves up, you know, in such a fast and such a under difficult conditions. But the thing is that when you see, you can't unsee, and then there's just no going back. It really is. The Matrix was a documentary.
Definitely.
Yeah. I watched that movie not that long ago and I was like, oh my, it's scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
I watched
I
it with
think
the
it's
intent of seeing if that's really real because I've forgotten. And so I watched it and I was like, oh my God.
I think it's so analogous to that moment where they're when he's in the pod.
Yeah.
And he wakes up in the pod and he sees that he has all these tentacles attached to him. And he's like in such a state of confusion. And I think that a lot of people, when they start the process, which is what I was saying, you know, it's like they have to be ready to like unplug. And it takes, you know, like such an inner drive. And I think that one of those inner drives is the pain. Is like when the pain is greater than you know, than than wanting to stay in that space. I think that's and that's why I think pain can be a beautiful thing, because it's that catalyst that just takes us into that death rebirth process. So, you know, and yeah, you know, it's just like I remember my pod times, and you know, and I think that pod time happens multiple times through our lives as we wake up to the layers of this matrix.
Yes.
But yeah, but I think that once you do it the first time, the next times are like, oh yeah, and then you're like, oh, it's a walk in the park. Oh, I'm in the pod again. Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Good segue into the pain, because a lot of women are in pain at the moment. A lot of people are in pain. Like, I see it as like people, it's their pain it's trying to tell them to change, and they're resistant to change. It's like, I see it all the time. I see a lot of people in pain, and they just attach it to this label that they've had for God knows how long. And it's like, well, there's a way through that. And if there's a message from each of you three, we'll start with Beth and work our way down. It's like, how does one go about, as you said, untethering, but also learning that their pain's just a signal for them to change? How does one deal with it and cope with that to then be where you three are right now? There'll be someone listening to this right now that's like, they're like right there, but there's just that something holding them back. How does one go about that, Beth?
Well, I mean, again, I think they have to be ready. And it is a big, you know, because we're stuck in these comfort zones. It's hard, even though it's painful. They don't see necessarily that on the other side of it, on the other side of all that pain is freedom, you know? And so it's getting them to understand that it's short-term pain for long-term gain. And I think we can relate that to many things, right? Whether we're, you know, quitting our caffeine addiction, whether we're quitting our sugar addiction, whether we're you know, whatever kind of vices or buffers that we have in life that are keeping us in this comfort zone. So, you know, in terms of how, that's a great question. I mean, I think it's us again being models of going through the pain and realizing that on the other side of it, it is so much brighter and empowering. I love that word empowering, because that's how I feel. And I feel like kind of with each door that I open, like I feel now like, okay, if I'm able to do this and I'm able to conquer the sugar addiction, the stuffing my feelings down with food, what else can I conquer? How else can I up-level my life? So in a time before, when I used to feel overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, that would be a massive overhaul if I attempted to do that. Now I feel like, okay, I've built this self-trust in myself. I'm able to follow through and commit to things that I never thought I could. And I'm doing it, I'm checking it off. And as you do that, you're building more confidence, you're building more self-trust. And then you realize that you can do, you know, hard things. And yes, you go through a period of pain, but on the other side of it is freedom, I feel.
100%. Ximy?
Yeah, so I think that in our culture of immediate gratification, where everybody wants to just only feel good and have their dopamine hit after dopamine hit, I think that it's very foreign to sit with pain, to sit with learning patience, to learn to to self-discover, because everything is the externalization and let me just go out there to find ways to numb my pain. But what I would say is that all of us at some stage in our life get invited into our underworld, and the experience is the most humbling thing, because it doesn't matter how much our ego tries to resist it. I guess those are the times when we connect with, there's a higher form of power that has just brought me to my knees, and that, you know, has put me in a place of humbleness and surrender. And I think that the more that we try to hold to our arrogance of how we think things should be, the harder the universe is going to have to push for us to go through that process of surrender. And I think that that's one of the purpose of pain, is to teach us surrender, is to teach us faith in ourselves, in the process, in life, in the divine, and that everything has purpose, divine purpose. And that the more that we hold on to the things that don't serve us, the more we're going to be in pain. And I think that that's what pain really is holding on to the things that don't serve us. Because I think we can all agree that the minute that we were in that space of surrender and we were ready to let go of those things and we were ready to die, have that death, we had the rebirth. And there's, as you were saying, Beth, there's freedom on the other side of that. So sitting with the pain, you know, like, and letting ourselves surrender into the pain, into the experience, and into the mystery, into the unknown, because, you know, being sick and being overweight and being depressed and being in painful relationships and being addicted to blah, blah, blah is familiar, is predictable. And the ego loves predictability. It loves feeling in familiar territory. But what the ego hates is mystery. It can't control it. It can control what is predictable, even if it's painful, horrible, miserable. So it loves it. It wants to keep us there. But mystery, and that's where I think our childlike innocence that loves curiosity and that used to live in mystery and in wonder, can come in and help us navigate this, so that we can transition into other areas of higher power. The curiosity of the child and the surrender of going into our pain, because what's born after that is freedom and wisdom.
100%. I resonate with that. Just being a man here, like that was that sums up pretty much my last 3 or 4 years. I can't speak for you and Corrie, Beth, but for me, yeah, Ximy, that's beautifully put. I don't really have any words to describe that, because you just sort of helped me shift something off air here. I'll tell you about that later, but that's powerful, that message. I don't really have anything else to add, so I'm just going to sit here.
Well, I know that
If I may,
pain changed.
one more.
Go.
Sorry,
Yeah.
if I may. So in Greek mythology, and I love to speak in terms of archetypes, because of one of the most powerful things that I've learned is to see life through archetypal patterns. And we all think that we're so different. And the paradox is that we all are, but at the same time, we're all the same, meaning that we all share this collective consciousness, these archetypes, and we go through the same journeys. So I want to speak to the journey of the underworld. And in the Greek mythology is represented, I don't know how to pronounce her name, if it's Persephone. So basically she's mother's daughter. She's a daughter of Demeter. She's mother's daughter. And she gets kidnapped by Hades and taken into Hades, which is the underworld. And Hades rapes her in the underworld. And she's in there as the core, as the innocent, compliant mommy's little girl. And she faces the possibility of staying as the naive mommy's little girl, or becoming the queen of the underworld, and then going through a shamanic transformation where she now becomes the queen of her underworld and guides others through their own underworld. And so I suspect that all of us have had, you know, even though this is represented through a feminine archetype, I think all of us here embody that Persephone archetype that has been taken into our underworld. And because we have been there, then, and we've pulled ourselves out of there and become kings and queens of our underworld, then we're in that beautiful place where we can walk other people through their own underworld and their own darkness. And the thing is that you can't really appreciate your magic and your beauty until you've met your darkness, your shame, your fear, the things that you're capable of doing, because it puts you in this beautiful place of every moment as a choice. Am I going to choose to go down that path and embody all the potential for darkness that lives in me, or am I going to make the choice and embody all the magic and all the other beautiful things that live in me? And so it's such a place of awareness. You have to be in your awareness instead of in your autopilots that will always keep you there, but in this awareness and in this choice. And I think that that's what this beautiful group of people here embodies, is that Persephone archetype. And all of you that are listening now and that are being invited into your underworlds through this conversation, and to get to meet those parts of us. Let yourself go there. Let yourself meet your darkness. Become, you know, queen and king of your own underworld. Learn from the experiences that we are sharing here about that process, because it's beautiful.
Sure is. I know for me, I went to the underworld already, because when I lost my job, I sold my house, and then me and my son left for Nicaragua. I was lying on my house floor, which is the house I thought I was going to live in forever. It was my grandma's home, and there was nothing in the house anymore. It was our closing day, and my flight was that day. I just lied on the floor and I screamed and cried, and it was like, okay, I'm just letting go. I am taking the biggest leap of faith. Something has got to be better at the other end of this, because the pain that I had, I don't ever want to feel that again. And then I arrived in Nicaragua and I saw the ocean for the first time, and it was just like, like it was so worth it. And I wish that people would just listen to that intuition that we all have it in us. You just have to be aware, and you have to listen. You have to take that leap of faith, no matter how crazy it is. And for me, it was crazy. I'm a single mom with a teenage boy, and I sold everything. I left my job. I left my country. I didn't know if I'd see my daughter again. But I listened to that intuition, and I was just like, I got to get out of here. And I couldn't even explain it to my family. I was like, there's just something telling me that I have to go. And I've never traveled before, so I don't even know where I'm going to, but I've got to go. And look at me now. Like, I just am so freaking grateful, and just it makes me emotional, because like I never thought my life could be like this ever. And here we are, you know, with you lovely people, and man, so crazy.
Yeah.
So much gratitude here in this round table.
Yeah.
If there's we just got real deep there, and I was just pondering what you all were saying, and I'm feeling the same way, so I'm just going to go with it as well. I'm feeling very, very grateful too, and you know, I'd sort of taken a leaf out of your book there, Corrie. I sort of moved states. I didn't move country, but I moved states with my brother in the last 6 months, so I've gone through that too. And yeah, really powerful roundtable. We want to sum everything up today, ladies. If there's a piece of advice that you're willing to give to someone that's listening, that's almost there, or there's got a bit going on, and their mind's opened up after this chat, and then they're ready to go, what would be your advice to that young woman, or that even older woman, any woman? How can they take that first step on their journey towards their self-discovery or self-rediscovery? Beth, you want to share your thoughts on the final word there?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I do think, you know, Jason Christoff says this often, health is foundational. And I truly believe that, you know, I talk about my health journey, and I feel like that was my first awakening. I wasn't awakened to all the programming, you know, until a year later. And I feel like through my health choices, my diet choices, you know, going back to basics in terms of just, you know, nourishing my body and fueling my body with good, nutritious food, was what gave me the mental clarity to see a year later the whole pandemic and then everything else. So I am one of those people that have, you know, in terms of this learning curve and going down all these rabbit holes in this record time, like the period from July to September of 2020 was just like a freight train for me. Like, you know, when my eyes opened up, everything opened up, you know, and then I'm down all these rabbit holes. I'm trying to learn because I can't look at COVID in isolation. I've got to understand, well, why and how and who, right? Because your whole reality is turned on its head. So health is foundational. I truly believe that, you know, what you put in your body, you are what you eat. I think starting there, you know, starting there with whole foods, and life is too short. Imagine how much better you will feel, you know, if you're fueling your body with these good, nutritious foods. And that's, for me, that's where it started. And I do feel that that is foundational for everybody. If you're looking for somewhere to start, it's as simple as that. It's getting your health and nutrition down pat to kind of clear your mind and detox your mind. You're detoxing your body and you're detoxing your mind at the same time. And then you feel more powerful to take on the world, right? You're developing, again, this self-trust, this discipline, this commitment in yourself, and then see where it's going to take you. I think it's just, it can be an amazing transformation.
Ximy?
Yeah, so I think that, you know, if you're all on that precipice and about to jump into this place of mystery, just know that there's a massive safety net. And that when you make the choice out of faith, it's like you are protected every step of the way. And by the way, when I say protected, it doesn't mean that it doesn't that it stops you from experiencing pain or anything like that. But what I mean is that it's like you're being guided on this adventure, because it's an adventure. And the destination is home, is you returning back to you. The universe will strip you of anything that is not authentic, anything that is not in harmony with your highest self. This is why I'm saying the more you resist, the higher the pain. If you surrender and you're humble and you're in that state of faith, everything will fall into place in due time, and you will be put in situations that are challenging because you're meant to learn faith. You can't learn faith when everything is certain. So this is, I think, the purpose of being thrown into all of these spaces of uncertainty, is you have to let that ego, like you have to reparent your ego. You don't get rid of your ego, you reparent it. And you're like, okay, I know you like to control, but let's just step into mystery and let's allow the divine to take through. And it's beautiful because you start embarking on a mystical experience, and that mystical experience starts connecting you with nature, with source, with yourself, with everybody else. And it's the path back home. So trust that you're Dorothy and that you've always had those little slippers, you just always forgot. And the adventure is the universe showing you that you are home, that you have the slippers, that you got lost along the way. It was purposeful. It was part of the adventure, but you're going back home.
Pop that, Corrie.
Right. Well, I would say, just based on my experience, it's just follow that gut feeling. You know, when you have that, like, oh, maybe I should do this, and then this side is saying like, no, that's not a good idea. Whatever you feel in here, you know, trust that, and you know, meditate on that feeling. And you know, I didn't meditate, you know, back in 2021. I do now, but you know, and now my intuition is stronger than ever. You know, when I can just think of something, oh, I better do that. And then just, you know, I do it, because now I just like, okay, you've got that thought in your head, I just go do it. And now everything is kind of unfolding. It's like, okay, the universe, he says to me, you surrender, you're listening to us now, here you go. And I have a life of abundance right now. But I only got that because I started listening to my intuition, listening to that gut feeling. And it was scary. It was really, really scary. I did some really scary things that I never thought I would do, but it led me here. And so, but again, people are so distracted up there. They gotta work on their health first and detox, and then that intuition becomes louder and louder. And so it, all kind of mixes together. You've just got to kind of do one, and then this one improves, and then that one improves, and then you kind of get to where we are, and life's so great, so just listen to your intuition.
I love that.
Can I just
What a way
add
to finish.
something powerful? Can I just add one thing so powerful to what was being said by Corrie? And that is that remember that your gut feeling and your intuition, if your gut is inflamed and in distress, etc., it's so much harder to listen to your intuition because all you have is noise. So the first thing is to us, everybody's saying here, return to good foods, detox your body. And that way you will become a much better antenna to receive the voice of the divine that is speaking through you, which is your intuition. You're getting rid of all the noise, the static, and the interference. Clear your gut, and you'll listen so much better. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you, because that's such a powerful thing about trusting intuition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Powerful. What a way to finish. Thank you for jumping on this awesome roundtable today. I'm very grateful that I listened to my intuition and sort of just made it happen with you three. You were the three that I was intuitively guided to bring on for this. And I, just being a man, I just want to thank you all. I learned so much. Himi, some of the stuff you were saying, I'll chat to you about off air, because you hit me deep there. So that was awesome. But yeah, thank you for sharing what you've all shared today. Thank you all for jumping on. Thank you for giving me your time. You're all doing awesome things. And if you want to reach out to Beth, reach out to Himi, reach out to Corrie. They're all on Instagram. They're on Facebook. They're on many, many platforms. So if you want to just tell people where they can find you each individually, and we'll wrap this up. Beth, where can people find you?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, bethblackmore.co. I'm on Facebook, Beth Blackmore, and my website is bethblackmore.com. And I do offer a free 30-minute coaching call if I've spoken to you today and you'd like to reach out. I'd love to connect.
Beautiful. Himi?
So my Instagram is bombshell formula. My Facebook, I have a bit of bombshell formula page also, and but I'm much more active in the Ximy Gonzalez page on Facebook. And I have a beautiful resource called Power, and it's my gift to all of you. So it's the first module of my 7 Body Basics program. And if you guys go to my Instagram and you click on my bio, there's a link, and you can get free access to that there. So I'd love to share that with everybody. It's got a lot of things that I was talking about with the whole self-parenting. So
awesome. Yeah. Put that link to that in the bottom straight away. I'll grab that off your Instagram. I'll put it in there, Himi. People can just click on the bottom in the show notes, and it'll be in there. Corrie?
I'm on Instagram at Corrie Bignell and Facebook at Corrie Bignell, and my website is theunregisterednurse.ca.
Awesome website too. It's got a bit of traction lately, Corrie. Yes.
It's hot. I love it, man. I worked real hard on that.
Yeah. All right. This has been the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Thank you all for listening, watching, wherever in the world you are. Take that step, reach out, ask for help. There's plenty of people on this awesome journey, as you've met 3 more today. So stay tuned. There's plenty more episodes and guests coming in 2024. Some more deep spiritual chats like what Himi covered before. Might have to get you back on, Himi. You have to delve deeper into that, what you were talking about before, I reckon. And you three have to do this again. We'll have to do a part 2, I reckon. I'll do a women's roundtable with you 3 again, part 2 in the near future. So Thank you all for giving me your time today. Beautiful.
Thank you, Nathan.
All right. See you guys again soon. Cheers.
Okay. See you guys.